This is it. This is what gender euphoria feels like, because look at how I look and listen to how I sound. Thank you, testosterone. Yes, I look like this. Yes, I have he, him pronouns in my bio. And blue hair.
People with ADHD experience burnout more quickly than neurotypical people. Let me explain why. This cup is an ADHD person and this cup is a neurotypical person. The level of sugar in each cup represents their energy levels. In the morning, the neurotypical person will wake up, check their emails, get ready and leave for work. This takes minimal effort for them. An ADHD person will wake up, become overwhelmed by their inbox, get decision paralysis over what to wear, probably forget where they left their car keys, leave the house in a fluster, anxiously thinking about how they're going to explain to their boss why they're late again. When the neurotypical person arrives at work, they'll say hi to their colleagues, sit at their desk and casually complete tasks in order of priority and importance. The ADHD person will arrive at work, sit in their car for 10 minutes preparing their alter ego for the incoming social interactions. They'll spend the day forcing eye contact and thinking if that thing they said in the 10 a.m. meeting sounded stupid. They'll have a constant nagging worry of whether or not they locked their front door. They'll sit at their desk and become increasingly anxious and overwhelmed at the list of tasks they impulsively said yes to last week.
How do you feel about her having guy friends?
Hit me with it.
That's totally cool.
Yeah, having friends is cool.
You don't care if she were to spend time with them one-on-one?
No, I think that's insecure if you do. I'm just secure with who I am. I'm secure in the relationship.
Agreed. People who are secure in themselves and secure in their relationship should not have a problem with this.
Relationships are all about trust, right? If you don't trust your person, you shouldn't be with them.
100%. Kind of feels like the people asking these questions maybe don't know what a healthy, functioning relationship looks or feels like.
Those friendships existed before me. Who am I to say no?
My wife has several years-long friendships with men. I have several years-long friendships with women. Anyone who would ask you to sacrifice that for them is not worth your time or energy. Someone who is that insecure is not going to stop with wanting to control who you are friends with.
Why would your woman want to spend time with another man one-on-one if she has you?
Let me ask you a question.
No notes.
Did you know the US produces 25 million tons of waste every holiday season? It's your favorite land back baddie, and let's talk about our holiday consumption problem. Each year, the US wastes an extra 1 million tons a week between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. A tenth of that is from food waste alone. Each year, upwards of 36 million trees are cut down for holiday decor, cards, and gifts. It's estimated that 5.8 billion pounds of holiday inventory and 16 million pounds of wrapping paper end up in landfills. Holiday travel increases during this time as well. Studies show that people living in developed countries produce an additional 1,400 pounds of carbon emissions per person. Oh, and plastic production increases at a rate that we're unable to measure. So this holiday, consider buying from small local businesses or thrift stores. Wrap your gifts in newspapers or magazines. Consider finding alternatives to gift giving. Limit travel and consider downsizing meals and family gatherings. We can't combat the things that we don't know about. So it starts with a conversation and snowballs from there. We only have one planet, guys. Happy holidays.
Well, you don't know me, but I know you.
This man changed how we feel about cats. So the Victorians were definitely not cat people. They saw them as sly, calculating, and mainly just kept them around for mouse control. But all that changed with a man named Louis Wain, who began drawing cartoons of his cat Peter for his wife to entertain her as she was dying of cancer. After seeing his drawings, the editors of the Illustrated London News knew they had to be printed. And A Kitten's Christmas Party, a drawing featuring 150 cats, appeared in the newspaper, and overnight the nation fell in love with Wain's cats, which showed them in a new light. And for the first time, cats were cute. Louis Wain and his cats became a household name, and he was seen as a leading authority on cats, becoming president and chairman of the National Cat Club and serving as a judge in cat shows. But Wain never copyrighted his work and failed to profit at all from his fame. And as he fell into poverty, Louis's mental health deteriorated significantly. Louis was certified insane and lived the rest of his life in a psychiatric hospital, where his cats became more and more abstract, and his work from this period is seen as the first examples of psychedelic art. Big shout out to our Absolute History members on YouTube who voted for us to make this video.
Gen Alpha can't read. Right? It's so funny. It's almost like in 2001 there was a law put into place called No Child Left Behind, where it was decided that public schools needed to start teaching to a test. If the kids in those schools didn't test as well as the government wanted them to, they would just strip funding away from them until those schools were eventually closed down if they did bad enough. And if public schools are closing across the nation, that means people have to resort to private schools, but not everybody can afford private schools. It also doesn't help that COVID pushed a lot of people out of the teaching profession, not to mention the demonization of teachers' unions and all the propaganda we're fed constantly about them and how greedy they are for wanting a living wage and like safe conditions for their teachers. And so yes, that's very strange that the government laid the groundwork for an entire generation to become illiterate. Why would they do that? Because Republicans have told us over and over again to our faces that they want to get rid of the Department of Education altogether. And if you can't read, you can't get into college. And if people can't get into college, then there's low enrollment rates. So why do we even have colleges? It's almost like the system's working exactly as intended.
Plum-colored liberals have been driving me insane because of how difficult it is for them to actually listen to BIPOC. The reason why is because they value objectivity. So if you do not approach something from an objective standpoint, they have to be convinced that that thing is real. This is why they are hesitant to trust any person of color who talks about watermelon, but they will trust and listen to a person who's talking about watermelon because they see that person as objective. I am too close to the issue as a Black woman because it's like, well, of course you're gonna feel that way. Like, of course you're going to feel that way because you are someone who is marginalized in this country. So lived experience is not expertise to them. They have a really difficult time understanding that we have access to a type of knowledge that comes through the lived experience of being oppressed that they don't have. They believe that they are at the pinnacle of self-awareness, intelligence, emotional intelligence. Like, they believe that they are the standard. If someone knows more than them about something, it makes them feel uncomfortable. So it just drives me insane. And it's just like, we have been telling you what to do, but you don't listen to us. They also just think that we are not intelligent people. Just create so many barriers to intelligence for us. You can't use AAVE. You have to be objective. You can never say the wrong thing. You can never make any mistakes, or that invalidates everything that you know. You better show up with different articles, statistics, or what you're saying will either be invalidated or just not believed in the way that it needs to be believed.
Genuine question, and I just want to learn the differences of how Black families teach about slavery versus white families.
Oh, hi. My name is Amira Martin, and I am a homeschool mom. I have homeschooled all three of my kids. One kid we've actually graduated, and on top of that, we talk about slavery in a different way, because when I grew up, it was taught to me in a different way. So I love this question. I can't wait to answer it. Let me tell you how we handle things around here. As a Black American family, there are a lot of things ingrained in the rituals and the everyday tasks that we do already that stem from some of the things that our people did when they were enslaved. So having those everyday things go on in our home and being able to go to our kids, okay, well, did you know that the reason why we do this is because during slavery times we were only allowed this amount of rations for food, or they were giving us scraps for this, or this is how we were taught to clean a house, or this is how, if you were a house slave, these are the routines and the rhetoric that you had to go through in order to appease your master. So we use our everyday things to kind of teach our kids about some of the things that used to happen during slavery. Another interesting way that we loop this in is to talk about generations. So my favorite thing is to show them or tell them, hey, you know how Mama's a generation, and then, grandma's a generation, and then before grandma was great grandma, and that was a generation, and then before great grandma was another generation. That's how far removed you are from slavery. It wasn't that long ago. So we can talk about timeline, and this is all done in conversation in our home. So my husband used to teach history to our kids early on in our homeschooling journey. That was his favorite thing to teach. So he didn't focus as much on slavery as he did on African history. And because you focus on African history, that means you eventually have to wrap in Middle Passage and explain all of that to kids. But it's a story, like it's history. It actually happened. But when we teach it and how we talk about our kids with it is you have to start from the beginning. So we start from where, all of civilization was created in Africa. This is what happened in Africa. These are the different countries, these are the different tribes. I want to say tribes first, and I probably should have, because we really focused on tribes and what each tribe represented. And then we can talk about what happened in history. How did these very powerful, majestic, beautiful, intelligent beings end up in this situation in the Americas? So that's how we explain it. But again, we're a homeschool family, so this is literally what we do all day, every day. We never stop learning here. I feel like sometimes I'm like, all right, let's take a break, and the kids find something new to learn. But it's not something that we shy away from. It's something that we knew we have to teach because we're a homeschool family, and it's really important. But what we also don't dwell on is we don't only teach the slavery part of our history. I think when kids are in school, they only get 1 month of it anyway. Black History Month, for some reason, they want to talk about slavery all the time, or civil rights. It's the only two things they talk about in traditional school. It annoys me to no end as someone who went to traditional school. But I was also very fortunate because I went to traditional school, but I also went to a private school. And I went to a multicultural private school for the first, 6 years of my schooling. And because it was a multicultural private school, they had a little more leeway into what they taught us. So again, how we're teaching our kids in our home is how I learned. I learned about Africa. I learned about all of the different countries. I learned what each tribe did. We had multicultural evening where, those kids who actually played the drums, and I mean the African drums, not that rock and roll, those type African drums. We had kids who actually attended school who learned how to play African drums. Like, it was a whole group of brothers and a whole other family, and they would play African drums, and you would do African dances, and we learned about everyone's backgrounds. And I think that really helped because it was a multicultural school, we also got to see that we weren't the only ones who were enslaved. There were Hispanic children there as well. And we got to see how intertwined slavery is. And that helped us all to open our minds and open our worlds and also understand, every minority has had a struggle. Every minority has been enslaved in some way, shape, or form, whether it's indentured servitude or internment camps. We've all been through it. And learning it in that capacity, especially when you are teaching kids, is very powerful because then they can find the similarities to their friends who they play with every day. But that's how we teach it. I know that was a long-winded answer, but I loved this. I loved this video, and I love that it was out of curiosity and it was in a respectful tone. And this is something that I think more Black people need to talk about. This is how we learn, which is why Thanksgiving is actually it's my husband's favorite holiday. And that's why, because we're not celebrating the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims got nothing to do with us. We're celebrating the fact that we took a lot of things, a lot of nothings, and turned them into something. And we created our own feast around this Turkey Day that is an American holiday. So, good question. Thanks for asking. If you guys want to know more about our homeschool journey, I'm always down to talk about it. Just let me know. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm here. So, thanks for watching.
Single guys, do you want to know what it's like to be married? Yeah, okay. So my wife makes pumpkin squares for our family every year. That sounds delicious. They are. So I went to the store to get ingredients and I noticed there was no pumpkin on the list. Uh-oh, that sounds like an essential ingredient. Did you get it anyways? No, I called her to see if we already had some at home, but she didn't answer. Oh, okay. Then did you get some anyways? No, I left, and then she called me in the car and told me we did need pumpkin. I was right. Congratulations on being right. Did you go back to get some? No, I told her if she wanted it, she'd have to go get it herself. And now she's mad at me. Marriage. Are you sure that's marriage, or is that just what it is like to be married to you? No, that's marriage. We think, why am I stuck with this person when there are endless possibilities out there waiting for me? Then we remember, oh, right, no one else is even remotely interested in me. What? I kid. I love my wife.
Men hate my outfits. They're so mad that I'm not hot like how I was in Uncut Gems. I hear that all the time, but I don't care because the girls love it. The girls and the gays.
I don't want to hurt their feelings.
Hurt their feelings? You just walk around all day thinking about other people's feelings?
Yeah, don't you?
No. How do you get anything done?
It's hard.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kyle. I have been a registered Democrat for the last 22 years. I have voted in every election up and down from the state to local level that I could vote in. I campaigned for John Kerry and Barack Obama. This message is for the Democrats. I fucking hate you. I hate the fact that you've bamboozled us for so many years, touting progressive policies and giving us nothing. I hate the fact that there are so many broken campaign promises. I hate the fact that you've weaponized our rights to scare us into voting for you. I hate the fact that you failed on protecting reproductive rights. I hate the fact that you support economic policies that actually produce the conditions that make fascism viable, and you don't admit that. I hate the fact that you're classist and not actually egalitarian. I hate the fact that you don't support Medicare for all, housing for all, affordable to free secondary education. I hate the fact that you tout small incremental changes to the fabric of our society as a resounding success when people are still economically struggling and hungry. I hate the fact that you won't call a genocide a genocide. I hate you for supporting policies that produce more bombs and not food. I hate you for supporting the status quo and not for doing the right things to make everyone's life better. I hate the fact that you're not mature enough to receive criticism. And I hate the fact that you criticize the rest of us for being idealistic and wanting better for everyone. And I hate you for blaming your failings on procedural precedent, a majority of which is nothing more than rules that are holdovers from the Reconstruction era and Jim Crow. I hate you. And you lost my vote, and you lost many people's vote, and that's your fucking fault. This message is for the Democrats. I fucking hate you.
There are a bunch of liberals and Democrats angry in his comment section, and I really have to ask the question why. Because you've already lost him. You've already lost hundreds, if not thousands, of other voters. But you're not paying attention to one important fact. You all have also gained quite a few. Have you noticed that? There are a bunch of people cheering on Biden's actions in Gaza. Why do you continue to try to campaign to the people you've lost when you've gained so many? There are a bunch of people celebrating the genocide in Palestine. You have the neo-Nazis, you have the alt-right, you have the evangelicals. Many of them have been cheering all of this on. And you share something in common with them. Because genocide is not a deal breaker for you. And them celebrating it means that it's not a deal breaker to them either. You all have a whole new pool of voters you all could be talking to. And for whatever reason, you all still seem focused on this demographic you have lost. Why is that?
Everybody knows that. Like, you go to any place, you say...
3-0. Switching sides.
Anyways, they...
Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Why is America
not the greatest country in the world, Professor? That's my answer.
Let's talk about fine. And with a straight face, you're going to tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom?
Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom. All right. And yeah, you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite? America is not the greatest country in the world anymore.
I'm breaking up with the guy I'm dating because of what he did to me while I was on the toilet the other day, and I'm not joking, like I'm being so...
So for context, go back and watch the rest of her video because it is wild. But can we talk about the fact that generally men have behaved so poorly in relationships that her decision to leave him is still being debated and still being looked at as something that was an overreaction? 2 months ago, I'd made a video about a thread where men were describing how they secretly hate their girlfriends, and something that I wanted women to take away from that video is that any reason that you decide to leave a man is valid, and it doesn't matter if other people think that it's petty. Most women have been raised to be highly empathetic, even if it comes at their own expense for a reason. And a lot of men, as well as society in general, have no problem taking advantage of that empathy in order to get what they want, in order to control you, in order to steamroll over your boundaries, etc. He refused to do something menial for her, tried to gaslight her about her reaction, and then escalated to physically throwing something at her out of frustration. And had she listened to the few people online saying that she was overreacting, had she tried to have a conversation with him coming from a place of understanding to try to get his point of view, the next thing that he probably would have thrown at her was a glass bottle. Abuse always escalates, and it usually starts with emotional abuse, which is not taken as seriously. It is way past time for women to stop being understanding. You are not overreacting, you are not being childish, your concerns are valid. And I am proud as hell of this woman.
What do you mean everybody quit? Exactly that. The entire staff quit. I just don't understand how that's possible. What happened? Well, you know how I brought up how senior members are making less than new hires? Yeah, and that is how it works. Well, apparently the employees started talking to each other about how much they make, and they figured out what you were doing. Oh, boo-hoo, that's what big corporations do. Okay, well then what's the solution for when this problem arises then? Because I don't have a staff to open tomorrow. Oh, and we're gonna have to cancel the truck too. Absolutely not. Do you know how much that would cost us? You need to call people in. Emma, there's nobody to call in. Everyone quit. And apparently they're not coming back until they all make the starting wage. No, we don't support unions. Okay, then what's the solution for this? Because it takes 2 people to open, and Ron and I are the only 2 here, and we're not working from open to close tomorrow. Why not? We really need you 2 to be team players right now. We are being team players. We warned you what was going to happen. We've offered solutions. Now the ball's in your court. No, we can't give in to their demands. If they've done it once, they'll do it again. And what's next? A union? Okay, so you're telling me that we're just going to close the store and take the loss then? Absolutely not. Your store produces almost $100,000 of sales daily. Oh, okay, so you are going to give the raises so everybody's making the same base pay then. I already told you no, Tammy. It's just gonna have to be you and Ron until you can get more staff there. Emma, that's funny. No. What do you mean no? That's your job. Respectfully, Emma, it's not. Ron and I working alone from open till close 4 weeks during the busiest time of the year until we can get new employees trained up and ready is not a solution. Not only is that not safe, it's disgusting that you would even suggest that. That's not what I was trying to suggest at all. We value you and Ron as employees. It sounds like you are, because I haven't heard a solution yet. Do you even know how little it would cost you to give your senior personnel raises to be making the same as your new personnel? Well, I think that's irrelevant. $2,400 a month. It would cost this company $2,400 a month to give them the raises. But instead, you're willing to lose $50,000 by us only being open for half a day. I'm gonna call the nearby store and see if any employees will step up and fill in. Because we are not closing during the busiest time of the year. Okay, well, let me know what they say, because if not, we're gonna need to cancel that truck soon. I cannot believe the employees are doing this to us. What are we gonna do if she's able to get the employees at the other store to come here and work? Oh, that's not gonna happen. The closest store is 45 minutes away. And guess what they're also doing over there? Oh, well, Emma's got quite the surprise coming to her then.
The United States just vetoed another UN Security Council proposal for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. That's Linda Thomas Greenfield, Biden's appointee. So for people who are saying there's nothing the United States can do, there's nothing Biden can do, yes, there is. The United States can stop standing in the way of a ceasefire.